So in 2014, Poppyscotland conducted a survey and found that there are about 280,000 older veterans in Scotland. Many of them do very well, but a small, perhaps significant minority need extra help and support. The Unforgotten Forces project was established to provide that support to them as and when they need it.
We probably started work on Unforgotten Forces around the summer of 2016 when we looked to develop a consortium that could submit an application to something called the Aged Veterans Fund. The Aged Veterans Fund was a scheme administered by the Ministry of Defence which made money available to support activity for veterans over the age of 65. This money was from across the UK, and we were really keen that some of the money should come to Scotland. So Poppyscotland set about developing a consortium to put together an application. Towards the end of March 2017, we got the phone call from the Ministry of Defence to say that it had been successful and that the consortium was to be awarded a sum of approximately £4 million to deliver support for Scotland's older veterans.
Eligibility for support from Unforgotten Forces includes former members of the armed forces, regular or reserve, who are now 65 years of age and older, including national servicemen who quite often don't consider themselves to be veterans, but they are. So those that did national service in the 40s, 50s and 60s are included as eligible for our services. Eligibility also extends to the widows and widowers of older veterans, and finally former members of the Merchant Navy who during their careers at sea deployed in support of UK military operations during conflicts such as the Falklands War.
So the services have been live and available to the older veterans in Scotland from the 1st of July 2017.
The aim of the Unforgotten Forces project is to coordinate the delivery of services to support older veterans across Scotland by 15 organisations in the consortium.
Unforgotten Forces is a magnificent tool when you see the whole thing in operation, and you know, it might be there's one client that's benefited from 5 or 6 different services within Unforgotten Forces. For someone who is a veteran, it's just magical to see it all taking place.
The Unforgotten Forces project provides a range of different types of services for older veterans in Scotland in 5 basic categories. First of all, we provide practical support and assistance for veterans, everything from free transport for essential travel, hospital appointments and the like.
We joined the Unforgotten Forces group because transport and connecting veterans is key, and when you have a group of as many organisations referring veterans to various services, it's just obvious that you need to connect that up. We sit, as we feel, at the centre of this group, providing veterans with really essential links. We can offer a friendly service that help people actually come out of the house. Isolation isn't always a choice.
David's always there for me to annoy him. If he says about it at 12, he's there at 12. I mean, I couldn't make it otherwise. I tried before, as David said. I used to go by bus into the town, then walk along and get the subway from St Enoch's. It got a bit too much after a while,
Every single week we'll make sure that he gets out, that he gets to see these friends, that he gets out for an afternoon tea on a Tuesday, gets to other events relating to his service in World War II that he wants to attend. And we have a good laugh. We do want to help them remember. Our line is, don't wait for November to remember, and we do like to help them do that all year round. It really does seem to mean an awful lot to these veterans in the Unforgotten Forces group.
We also provide practical advice for veterans in terms of debt, financial counselling, advice about benefits and the likes.
Yeah, it's reaching the hidden veterans. There's a lot of pride and dignity. A lot of people don't want to seek help, but the help is out there, as we can see with Armed Services Advice Project and all the consortium partners in Unforgotten Forces.
I'm more than certain that if it hadn't been for Alistair, I wouldn't have been where I am today. When I said I was medically discharged, they asked me what my pension was, and I didn't have one. The army sent me home with £229.
He realised he was eligible for a war pension claim. So we had to start the process retrospectively, and a lot of his paperwork was in Germany. And being a medical matter, it required a lot of involvement with the health services in Germany where they'd maintained his records. So it did take a long time to get resolved.
Through the help of Alistair and the Poppyscotland in Edinburgh, it's now come to the point where I've now got a pension. This has really helped me out of that situation. It's made that I can now pay my bills and buy the food we need.
We also provide services that are specifically aimed at countering loneliness and social isolation.
You know, loneliness, it's like a disease, you know, it can eat into you. It actually can be a killer because you have confidence and you just lose the will to live.
Well, I was blown over by the wind and all. It was my confidence that did it. I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. And by this time, I was 19 and I hadn't been getting out. And I was just speaking to people, you can.
I think it is a major problem with older veterans, and if we can provide support for that, you know, with engaging them with like-minded people, then that's what we do.
First of all, we went up to THERESA, but it had never been a long run for years and years, you can. And there was a whole heap of veterans there. I just feel I'm a bit freer and have more confidence.
Most days I never see anybody. I try not to get depressed because I've never been a depressive person, but sometimes it's very difficult. I have a visitor, a befriender comes every second Sunday from the RAF Association because I served for 5 years in the RAF during World War II.
In terms of health and well-being, the Defence Medical Welfare Service provides support to veterans in the NHS pathway.
The reason I reached out was Ken got rushed into hospital because he lost his sight in his eye. And being disabled, I couldn't get to the hospital, I couldn't be with him, I couldn't see him, I didn't know what was happening. And I didn't know where to turn to.
I got a phone call from David at Fears for Free, who's also part of the Unforgotten Forces project, to say that he had a veteran that he was supporting who might need a bit further support with medical issues. Mr Cox, he had macular degeneration and was needing a bit of support with regards to hospital appointments and things. And Mrs Cox was struggling with mobility, needed a bit of specialised equipment in the house, so I worked with them and the occupational therapist from the local authority to make sure that she got the support that she needed. Whilst I was there, I noticed that she wasn't really moving about in and out the house at all. Back door was round the wrong way, so we got the council to come in and change the back door round so that she was actually able to go in and out. It'd been a while as well since they'd had any sort of holidays or anything like that, so I asked them if they were interested in a Poppyscotland break, which they were, and we applied and got some funding for that, so that allowed them to have a bit more of a break.
A lot of it is because Emma's at the end of the phone, really, so anything or however I'm feeling, or if we can't organise anything, she's the first person I'd phone up and shout, help. She's always there for us.
And finally, we provide creative art engagement opportunities for older veterans. Firstly, one of our partners by the name of Luminate provides artists and residents at the Erskine residential homes doing artwork and sculpture with older veteran residents, some of whom are experiencing dementia, and it's been proven to be really beneficial for them.
We're working towards an exhibition, so at the end of each of our kind of mini residencies at each care home, we usually here about 6 months or so, we'll then do a kind of public exhibition of that work. And it's an opportunity for residents to see their own work kind of profiled in that way, but also relatives can come in, we can open it up to the wider public.
It's good in that it does promote confidence and gives them some new skills as well.
Jill and James have been able to really get to know residents, to work out what they like, what they're interested in, and to design creative activities that really engage that individual and really interest that individual. I've been really inspired by the opportunity to work with older people in such a focused way and to see the difference that it can make to an older person's life being involved in creativity. And the Unforgotten Forces project is enabling us to take that into a really in-depth approach with older veterans.
The landscape of support out there, be it statutory or third sector, is a confusing one in that there are many organisations providing similar services, and sometimes those needing help don't know where to turn.
I think it makes life easier for them because rather than having to submit paperwork and make applications and deal with a whole series of different organisations and charities that they would like support from, they have a single point of entry to Unforgotten Forces. The first partner that receives them will help them initially in the way that they can, but will seamlessly cross-refer them such that they don't have to tell their story 4, 5 or 6 times to different organisations. It simplifies life for them, it smooths things out for them and makes it easier for them and reduces perhaps some of the administrative stress and hassle that can be involved in this type of thing.
So we work very closely with the other partner agencies in the consortium. We receive referrals from them and we refer into them as well. For example, Eddie was a referral from Scottish War Blinded.
When Derek came round to visit me, he says, I could send you batteries and tubing, but I'll see if I could get something to help you to get a regular issue supply. And he said he'd help me out, and he did.
So there's lots of help and support available through the consortium, the 15 partners. So if Eddie needed any help at all, he just needs to get in touch and we can pop a referral into one of the other partners, or we can find out what's best and just work collaboratively together to be able to reach veterans like Eddie or widowers of veterans throughout Scotland.
I regularly refer on to Action on Hearing Loss and have been doing so much so that I decided that it would be a good idea to actually volunteer with Action on Hearing Loss. So I've recently completed my training and I am now trained to also provide hearing aid maintenance. We operate this service to assist the older veterans community and we provide a service which does small repairs to the home and odd jobs. I'm hoping with Willie, when he's a bit happier, to let me have a go at his hearing aids as well, but he can actually be a referral on to Action on Hearing Loss as well. And whilst it will be a referral on to the other organisation, it would most likely still be me that actually comes and carries it out the work. So it's a real 2 birds and 1 stone scenario.
It was pretty icy out there one day and I walked down, I slipped on the ice and I got the edge of the step across my back. I couldn't move.
So I came out to visit Willie and we had a wee bit of a chat through, and upon that visit we decided that I'd put a handrail in, a wooden handrail up the steps, and at some stage we'd try and repair his step as well. One thing led to another and we got that done, and then I realised that his door wasn't really locking.
The lock had jammed and I got somebody in and they wanted £800 to renew the door. Oh, I had no money like that. But Alec come up, what a technician, and he fixed the lock, and now I've got a door that locks.
One of the reasons I particularly wanted to work in the Unforgotten Forces project relates to my father. My father was an older veteran, in fact he was a national serviceman. In later life, looking back, he didn't do very well, to be honest. After my mother passed away, he was lonely and socially isolated. He became ill and was in and out of hospital. For various reasons it was difficult for our family to support him. I was away serving in the Royal Navy. To be honest, it didn't end well for him. And I think that if the Unforgotten Forces project had been around at that time, it would have been a different story and a better story for my father.
The feedback has been incredibly positive. The partnership is as strong today as it was when we first were established. On a daily basis, we're helping tens and tens of older veterans, and for some of these people, they're in the latter stages of their life, and it's vital that we help them as much as we can.
Although the war wasn't nice, it's not sad stories they're telling you. They're absolutely wonderful, and they deserve something. They deserve to get something back.
Without this organisation, I wouldn't have the quality of life I have today, especially the fact that I can now get outside when the weather's from warm to freezing cold. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank them.
Well, I'll tell you something, I'm a wee bit more relaxed in my mind, getting help off corner. And it's good that you've got all these organisations, to go to. And I mean, they're nice staff as well, You're nice as well.
I would advise anybody with a problem like myself to accept any help they could get, because it is difficult. And my wife could tell you that. This is the first approach I've had to help me, and I really appreciate it.